Welcome to the Law School Insider, where we have conversations with students, lawyers, and employers.
Succeeding in law school is something that you must prepare for, not only before you begin, but throughout your law school journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I will draw from my over 20 years of experience in the college admission field, as well as bring forth the experiences of others as we delve deeper into the issues. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Law School Insider. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I'm so excited to have you back again this week. This week, I am so pleased to be able to have State Senator Tonya Schuitmaker, who is a state senator in the state of Michigan for the 26th State Senate District that serves Allegan and Van Buren counties and the city of Kentwood and Gaines Township in Kent County. And I'm really excited to be able to have her on. As you know, we try to bring people on to talk about their experiences, their journeys into finding success in their careers. And everybody does that in a different way. And it's always fun to be able to see how people are using their Juris Doctorate degree in different ways. And this is one example that I think you're going to find very interesting. So, Senator, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Thank you. It's great to be on your show, Dr. Lewis.
You know, it is my pleasure to have you on the show, and I am always pleased to be able to see people giving back, and being able to be in a senator position in the state of Michigan is definitely a way to give back. And I want to talk a little bit about, first, the position that you're in, and I want to talk about the degree that you have. How do you find that your Juris Doctorate degree, your JD degree, intersects with the things that you are doing on a daily basis to be able to be effective in the position that you have?
Well, I think my law degree, I think as lawyers, we're trained to really think critically about different issues and to debate both sides of the argument. And so I think that has come in very handy when you are writing laws. You know, as we all know, ands and ors make a huge difference in terms of the law. And so we're trained to examine all those nuances, and so that's where it comes in very beneficial. Not to mention, law affects all our lives on a daily basis, from everything from a contract for your wash machine service or our cars. The law really benefits all of us, and so as a lawyer legislator, I think that has aided me and helped me make laws for the great people of the state of Michigan to better their lives.
Appreciate you sharing that. Now, as a policymaker, as a legislator, as someone that is making laws, and you spent your career maybe not on that end prior to, so let's talk a little bit about the transition in moving from watching over the laws, let's say as a lawyer itself, after you finished your degree itself, and moving into the policy end, and we're moving into the making of laws. What were some of the things that you had to think about that made you have to kind of maybe even shift your thinking?
The benefit, I think, was that I practiced law for 10, 11 years in private practice, and that really helped guide me, because I realized that, you know, what Lansing does affects very real people's lives. And so I always carry that is, what are going to be the effects of the residents that I serve in my district? And so that's been of huge importance to me. The transition from being a lawyer to a legislator, they're similar in terms of, you know, you're just kind of serving a bigger client in terms of, you know, not everyone gets everything what they want, but being able to articulate why you do what you do. And I think as lawyers, we're able to, understand the ramifications of why the laws are written the way they are has been of huge benefit.
You know, it is so important to be able to articulate that not only to your constituents, but also to your clients. And I'm sure that in the 10 years that led up to you being a legislator, you had to hone that skill, because it isn't always something that you learn in law school. So in talking about that, are there certain skills or things that someone can do to be able to start honing that skill for themselves at an earlier point in their career so they can find success in being able to be that better advocate, being able to articulate things better to your clients as they get into their careers?
Well, I remember when I first became an attorney, I remember going to a seminar, and it was put on actually by our malpractice insurance provider. And I'll always remember this. They said that the number one reason for malpractice against attorneys is not that they really did a bad job. It was that they weren't returning their clients' phone calls. And that's kind of the same way with when dealing with the residents I serve. They may be unhappy about a way I vote on something, or maybe happy, and that's where, returning those phone calls and having that communication with people. They may not always agree with you. I'm sure a lot of your listeners don't agree with their parents 100% on different issues, or their spouses, but if you're able to articulate and have rational reasons of why you did vote the way you did, it helps soften maybe the anger or the resentment of that. And so that really all kind of started when I first became an attorney, and I was made aware that a lot of times it's just having that open communication. And so that is so important for new attorneys, and all attorneys, actually, not just new attorneys, but it's particularly important for new attorneys to make sure that they have communication. And that really has transitioned itself for the residents I serve. I serve in the state Senate. I represent about 290,000 people over the span of 3 counties. And so it's really articulating why I vote the way I do. Not everyone appreciates the way I vote. Most of them do. I was reelected. Now I've been through 3 elections in the state house and then 2 elections in the Senate. So I guess the majority of the people think I do a great job. But, I do have some people that want me to vote a different way. And so it's important to point out to them why I did do what I do. And a lot of people, when I call them and I say, well, I know you feel passionate about this, but, here's why I voted. They understand. And so that is so important. And that's something that attorneys can provide in their daily practice, and especially new attorneys.
Sage advice, and definitely so important. So for all of you, start working on it. Start working on how you explain things to others. Make sure that when you make decisions that you can rationalize your decisions and be able to start that process now. Because if you can start doing it now, as you get into law school, you get into your career, you're going to be able to do that even more. You're going to be able to be even more successful in doing that too. Now, Senator, I want to go back in time a little bit. I always turn the clock back on this show to talk about the journey itself and talk about law school. And you did go to, I saw you went to DCL, and there's a number of our faculty at Western Michigan University Cooley Law School where I work that also went there. And I know they tell me a lot of stories about being downtown Detroit. But in that journey, and even before that journey started, what was it about the law that drew you in and sustains you today?
Well, I was fortunate in that I grew up with a father who was an attorney, and my mom's a social worker. So I was exposed to law from very different directions, both from a social worker who goes into court routinely to help the abused and neglected children, along with my dad who had a general practice. And so that exposed me to conversations around the dinner table. And government was always my favorite class, and the law and how that applied to people. I graduated with a business degree from Michigan State University, and I know how a lot of people feel when they graduate in a recession, which is what I did during Gulf War I, where you couldn't find a job. And so I know how important it was. And so I decided to go on and better myself with a law degree, and that has been so beneficial because it kind of trains your mind to think critically and to not be as emotional with arguments, and to really calm your temperament, which in today's political realm has served me well, because there is a lot of veracity out there in terms of people's emotions, and I perfectly understand that at the same rate. But also, if you critically think about an issue, you are able to, make laws that really help people and budget for people's priorities, and have to explain that as well.
Going through law school, I'm sure that there were ups and downs, and you had to figure a lot of that out for yourself. Were there things that you found in law school that truly helped you to find success? And if so, what were they? And what would you share with others about being able to find that similar success as they go through that law school experience?
I would say there's two things that law school really helps you hone on, and that's in terms of both your oral arguments, and so it's important that if you want to win your argument, if you want to win your case, that you be able to effectuate solid reasons and a thought process that makes sense. And then with regards to the written word, I was never particularly a strong writer, but law school helped me hone that skill in, and certain classes that I still use today that were our contract law, certainly tort law I deal with in the legislature from time to time, property law, future interests. That was always a favorite class of mine. I know it's not everyone's favorite class. The UCC code, I sit on the Uniform Commission of Laws, and so, certainly where it comes to property and liens and everything is something that, the lessons and the black letter law that you learn in law school really are applicable in my life, not only, as a legislator, but, sometimes we had a tree fall on our house, and so you're using, contract law to find out, what your limits are on your policy and everything and what is covered. So certainly, the law is a very practical degree. Even if you don't go out and practice law, it can help you throughout life.
So true. And I continuously tell students that. I found a document a few months back that talked about 500 things that you can do with a JD degree. And so many of them are not in a courtroom. So it's so important to understand that the JD degree is a very versatile degree. And I appreciate you sharing that as well. Now, as you talk to future lawyers, as you talk to students that are in law school right now, if you were to say one thing, if you were to say something that they could do to help them to find success in their career, what's one thing that you would share, or what's one piece of advice that you would share with them today?
Well, first of all, I would encourage them to find an area of the law that they're passionate about. I believe if you're passionate about something, it's not really work, it's a love. And so I would find something that they're very passionate about. And then second of all, I would tell them to get involved. I was fortunate. I interned on the Supreme Court as well as in the Cass County Prosecutor's Office, get exposed to all different types of and experiences of the law, because that really opened my eyes in terms of different roles and also in terms of becoming involved in our community. So there's kind of three things there, I guess. One, become involved in your community, take as many internships and exposures to different areas and fields of the law, and then also, just be active in your community.
Those are all great ideas and great things for people to do. I truly, truly appreciate everything that you're sharing today. This is great advice. And for everyone that is listening today, I highly encourage you to really listen in and hear what has been said today, because all of these pieces are so critical to your success. To be able to, as we just heard, find passion in the area where you want to work. Be able to get that experience and build that network. We've talked about network so many times, and then to be involved. And I will say here at Western Michigan University Cooley Law School, we are constantly trying to get people involved because it's so important to be able to give back and to be able to help others. And this is a helping profession. And you can see even from what the senator has said today, I mean, what she does on a daily basis is helping others. And that is so important in this field. So Senator, thank you so much for being on the show today. I truly appreciate your time, and I wish you all the best, not only this year, but in the future to come.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good luck to your listeners, and if I can ever be of a resource, do not hesitate to call me. As legislators, we're very accessible, and we do offer internships in our offices. Feel free to call us and get involved, whether it's me or any of my colleagues.
Amazing resources. I will put some links in our notes today to make sure that you know how to contact her today. And I encourage you as well. Take advantage of this. If you hear people say, call me, pick up the phone, call, email, get out there and start building that network for yourself, because it is so important to be able to start building that from an early time and be able to open doors for yourself for the future. Well, that was another great guest this week on the Law School Insider. If you have an interest in being a guest on the show, drop me an email at lawschoolinsider@cooley.edu. And thank you all for listening today. And remember, you have the ability and right to take control of your law school's success. I hope you'll continue listening, creating a plan for success that will prepare you to achieve the dreams that you have set for yourself. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. You're on your way to being a law school insider. Please subscribe to stay connected and come back again next time as we speak to more students, lawyers, and employers.